I'm your host, Rebecca, the Realtor. Thank you for joining Bars Underground, where we come together in the local Brandon, Apollo, Riverview, Ruskin, and Sun City areas to grow, learn, and network with one another. Again, thank you for joining Bars Underground. Hey everybody, this is Rebecca the Realtor, and I am doing a wonderful podcast today with a nonprofit here in Waimama. And so I wanted to go ahead and introduce these two wonderful ladies, and they're going to tell us what they are doing for our community. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ruskin. I am a bilingual speech-language pathologist, and
I'm Jen. I am a certified occupational therapy assistant and the program director at Inspira Tampa Bay.
And we're here to share all the wonderful things that we're doing through our nonprofit, Inspira Tampa Bay, here in Waimama, Florida.
Perfect. Okay, so tell me, what is the name of your nonprofit?
So it's InspiraTampaBay.org.
Okay, and how long have you been here?
So Inspira was created in the spring. The exact date was
May of 2022.
Yes.
Okay, so you're relatively new.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, what exactly do you do here? How was it inspired, and how did you get to where you are today?
So Inspira was born, so a little backstory. So we're both therapists, and we work through South Shore Bilingual Therapy, and through the work that we do, we started to see there was a need for additional services that were not necessarily fitting the box of what's considered outpatient therapy, where speech therapy or occupational therapy, we can do many things under those scopes, but there were social and just family knitted services that were lacking in the area. And just to know, like, we are in Southern Hillsborough County,
Right.
so Hillsborough County is big. It's one of the biggest counties that we have in Florida. But unfortunately, a lot of the services are kind of just bottlenecked in the northern part of Hillsborough County.
Okay.
So as you start coming more towards Southern Hillsborough County, there is a lack of additional resources that are available to families and just a community as a whole. So going back to Inspira, we noticed that we were doing a lot of additional things for our families that were not falling under the scope of therapy. But once you become aware of the need, it's really hard to just kind of turn and act like it's not happening, because at the end of the day, it was impacting how families were able to take what we were providing as a resource and considering all the other obstacles that families are facing, and then putting it together, because it is the whole family unit when you're talking about providing a service to a family and for it to be effective. So we had to start understanding these are other factors, other obstacles that are not being addressed. And if you don't have your basic needs met, then therapy ends up being almost like an extra, like, if it happens, it happens.
Oh, like an add-on.
An add-on, yes.
Okay.
Right. And because of the therapy side of it being medically, insurance is only going to cover what medically is necessary. And many families need more than what's medically necessary at this point with the children we serve. So therefore, Inspira is going to provide those services that aren't covered under insurance.
Okay, so what age groups do you start and end with? Like, what is your bandwidth there?
We service birth to 20.
Birth to 20, okay. And the services that you're giving are strictly speech therapy?
No.
Okay,
No.
what other services do you
So we are therapists by background, but we provide other services as well, whether it be like IEP support. We have a reading program. We have our own thrift store to raise money to provide these programs. Family education, feeding groups, social groups, sensory groups. Like, we have a lot of programs that are there to help the kids specifically for what they need.
Wow. Okay. So so you said that you do take insurances.
Not through the nonprofit.
The nonprofit is its own thing outside. So we have our clinic, which that's how we get a lot of families that come into us.
Okay.
But that's also how we find out about families who do not have insurance, or let's say they had insurance at one point, and something we've seen a lot since post-COVID, and the benefits that have pretty much stopped is families are now going without insurance before we're qualifying. So now they're considered uninsured, but they're still needing services for
So
their
that's when
children.
you put them into the nonprofit.
So now we go into the nonprofit side, because obviously the clinic is a business, and the nonprofit side, let's say the families are in between trying to find some kind of coverage, because obviously we can't solve everything, but if we can provide some support. So then Jennifer this summer was doing an executive function group with preschoolers, and you did not have to be a patient of our clinic to receive the services, and if you did not have a way of paying to be in the groups, we had a grant that we were awarded in the spring, and we used that to fund for children in the community if you just needed if you needed the support.
Yeah, because with these kids, routine is key, and when they lose their therapies and they're not getting those interventions that therapy provides weekly, then we see a regression of the progress they've made. And so therefore Inspira, the nonprofit, provides that support as they've no longer received their insurances.
So what's the name of the clinic? So I want to make sure everybody knows the clinic name so that they can then find Inspira.
Yes.
That's a very important part of this, right?
It is. So the clinic is South Shore Bilingual Therapy, Inc. And our specialty, aside that, from it that we are in the area where we serve to make it accessible, is that we provide our services in both English and Spanish. So the majority of our clinicians are bilingual, and our whole entire front staff is bilingual. So we are kind of dissolving that obstacle of the parent not knowing what's happening in their sessions. So parent involvement, parent education is huge for us. And that was also one of the things why Inspira exists, is because we want parents to be empowered. We want parents to understand what the needs of their children are, because it's not a mystery. And we want them to be able to then be their children's advocates.
Wow. So this is wonderful. Okay. So I didn't even know. I live right up the street and I didn't know, right? So with a doctor, are you networking with doctor's offices so that they can say, oh, this is where you need to go?
Yes.
And so you can work
We have a
with
wonderful relationship with a lot of physicians. Our clinic has been here since 2019, right before the pandemic. And since then, we've grown to the point that we serve 300 children every week.
Wow.
So when you think about 300 children every week, there's going to be a percentage of children that are going through something that is requiring additional support, whether it's a child that is transitioning to start school, and if it's their first time. So think about a first time parent that has no idea that my child, any parent, I think, I know when my child started school, just knowing that we're having this big life change, that you are now going to be in a school, is a lot for a parent. So when you consider a child that is needing additional support or has special needs, that is an additional, I think, level of stress that I do not understand, but we're here to support. We want to make sure that the parent feels safe knowing that I'm dropping my child off at a school, and the teacher knows, the school knows. Let's say my child is nonverbal, they're not using words yet. So it might be that they are aware that the child is not able to use words to communicate back, but they may be using signs, or they may be using pictures, or if they've been provided with a communication device, that the child should always have this device with them. So we are always available to sit in meetings with our parents if they need it, when it's that time to sit and with that big IEP
Right.
board, which is very intimidating for a lot of parents. So just them knowing they are supported.
Well, I have 3 children, and 2 of which are pretty much grown, and then I've got a 17-year-old who's still at home. But 2 of the 3 were on IEPs,
Yes.
right? So I'm familiar with it. They needed very limited IEP like accommodation.
Yes.
They didn't need a lot, but I can imagine when your child does need more accommodation,
Yes.
and if they're nonverbal or if they do have a device or all of those things, that is very intimidating because I, as a parent, and I'm a strong-willed individual and I understand, right? But if you have a language barrier or if you're just don't understand the process, it is nice to have an advocate
Yes.
to fight for
And if
their kids.
if we can't offer specifically what they need, we have community resources that we've partnered with to tell them, oh, go to this organization, they have this specifically for you. Go to this place, they can do this for you. Like, we're not trying to keep it all here. We want to outsource those things that we don't have time or can't understand and know specifically how to help the family. But if this is a starting point for that, then we're happy to do that as well.
Well, and that's good because your goal is to help the children.
Yes.
Right? Like, and so you
100%.
know that if you can't do this, then I'm going to have a resource. I'm going to help you find one that can. Right? Because that's your whole goal.
Absolutely.
Is to do the add-on services. And if you
Exactly.
don't provide it, we need to find
Yes.
somebody who does.
Exactly,
Right?
yes. So, and then it's that we definitely do not gatekeep because there's just so much that needs to be done.
And you're seeing 300 kids a week.
And we see that, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the
You
nonprofit.
can't do it all. ladies.
No. And in order to do something, you got to be able, like, we're very much also, we understand taking care of ourselves. And, you know, like, yes, but don't spread yourself out too thin. And we preach this also to our parents. Like, a lot of our mamas are spread out so thin with everything.
tired.
Yes, like sometimes it's just like, go to your car. It's okay. We're in a safe space. Take a moment to yourself because they're being followed into the bathroom a lot of times, you know.
Yeah.
So it is considering the whole family unit. It's no longer, oh, it's a whole child. No, it's a whole family unit.
It takes that village kind of, that's like that mentality, right? It
It
takes that
is.
village, right?
It is because we have to understand the dynamics of, you know, whatever that family looks like. Because it's no longer just like it's mom and dad, it's grandparents, it's uncles. It's really changed a lot, and it's understanding who is involved in this child's life in the morning, after school, the weekend, summer, because we need to understand that piece to know when the child, they're having a good day or a bad day. We need to work on, there is something in their routine that got switched. And in order for us to be able to provide the support, or best provide support, we just need to understand who's all making up that unit.
God, that's so important. Yeah, you just don't think about that sometimes, do you? I mean, unless you're in it.
Yeah.
I understand.
And that's why we don't just take the kids back to therapy. Again, we speak to the parents. How was your day? Did something happen? Should I be aware of this? So that we as therapists can better serve what the children need at that time in the day. And then we come out and we talk to the parents about what we did, how they can help them at home, what the follow through should be at home, and things like that. So
I can imagine too, like their little brains, right? Like they want to be, I would imagine that they just don't, if they don't have, they may be frustrated, right? They have the frustration even in the children because they want to be able to communicate and just don't have the skills at that moment.
and then we see the behaviors.
So that's a
And
big
the
thing.
behavior is not because I'm a bad child.
No bad
it's
child.
because
I'm frustrated.
I'm frustrated and I don't know how to tell you, or you're not helping me in the right way, but I'm trying to tell you I need something out.
Yes, I think frustration, what we always, I think like in the beginning, a lot of the kids that when they're coming in either through a clinic or a nonprofit, is frustration is steering the ship. And it's like understanding the frustration has gotten to this point because there were signs that were more mellow,
Subtle,
and we were not vigilant to them. We did not recognize them, and it's no one's fault because no child comes with a handbook.
No.
So, but it's just becoming aware and just understanding, okay, this is a pattern that we've noticed, we picked up, we've been doing this. I mean, Jen, how many years have you been a therapist?
23 plus.
Yeah.
You guys got a
And
lot
that
of-
is
Yeah, we have a lot of
15,
experience, so-
we have a couple things. We always tell the kids, I'm like, you gotta do something different. If you want to scare me, you gotta do something more than that.
like, I've seen that before, and I know how to handle it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you. So you mentioned in the beginning that you had a thrift shop.
Yes. So
Talk to me. Talk to me about that. Like, what are you looking for? How can people donate? Like, how does that look?
Anytime anybody wants to donate, they can either go on our website or call us. Whatever, we are here.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for in that thrift shop?
Well, right now we have a lot of clothing, so I'd say more home goods, kids stuff, stuff like that. But we actually converted like what was supposed to be our conference room into our thrift store.
Okay. Well,
So
you
it
need space.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Okay.
Inspira lives out of South Shore right now, which is not ideal because Inspira is growing.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's a good problem to have.
Inspira needs its own space to continue to grow, but because again it is so linked with South Shore and the kids that are needing those services, we haven't separated yet, but one day we will when that's.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about that. So here we are. You've been in the nonprofit side, and then you've been with the clinic for a couple of years more than that. And you have 300 kids that you're seeing a week, and that's through the clinic, and then it's morphing into going into the nonprofit.
Yes.
So it makes sense that you guys are together, right? I mean, for the ease of the family,
Yes.
and they know where to go, they're familiar with everybody. So I get that. So what in the next 5 years, like let's see what is your vision for like the next steps, and what do you need to get there?
So in the next 5 years, I'm gonna manifest this already because I already know. So knowing where we started a couple of years ago in that small space, and then we went to the second space, and then we doubled that. So we're in 5,000 square feet right now. I could easily see us being in 10 to 15,000 square feet.
I'm gonna double that. I say 20 to 30 because I know what's in how Inspira is and what we're needing, and I've developed many programs, and we're going to continue to develop more programs and grow. So
Yeah.
I'd say even more than that, 20 to 30,000
Yes.
feet, because if it's going to host side by side, I'd say 10 to 15 for South Shore and 10 to 15 for Inspira. Because in that way, even though we're together, it could still be on a separate basis and its own thing. Where if we're, let's say, next door to each other in the same building, whatever it may be, then that way,
or something, just
Right.
by, yeah.
right?
Yes.
But yeah.
No, and it is. It really has. It has a pulse, and it's so beautiful to say. It has its own pulse. Just within, because Inspira started just being events. Like we had our sensory Santa that we were doing every year. Then we expanded to include the fall festival where we ask local partners to bring in their specialty and share that with the community for free. And last year we did our first fall festival. We had 2 universities. We had Gannon University locally, and then we also included USF to come down, and we had the sheriff's department, we had the fire department came out, and a couple local businesses just to share what they have for the community. And it was wonderful. It was held at the local library, and the turnout was so big that the library came over and they're like, we need to up the number that we said we were gonna have.
Right.
And just make sure we were up to code. But it was a great turnout.
Well, you had the fire department there. So
Yes,
anything
exactly.
went wrong,
It would have been there. Yes.
Yeah.
But it was such a nice thing to have for the community. And the parents are the ones that give us the feedback. They're the ones that let us know yes, no. And they're like, yes, we want more of this. And then we continue with our sensory Santa. Last year we were able to have it here, and we had more than 100 parents come to that one. So that one is where it's a different setting for the kids that can't handle the lines at the mall. And it's just, we're doing activities. Once again, we get a lot of volunteers, and the kids get to meet Santa on their own terms. They can be next to him, they can be kind of just close by, and as long as they need to get that family picture. And siblings, we have to think about the siblings, miss out on those opportunities as well. So just having that, and then on their way out, they get a sensory toy. That's something, so it's like the dentist gives out the toothbrush for Halloween. That's us at Christmas. We're doing the canceling headphones. We have
weighted blankets, pop tubes, squishy balls, whatever the kid really like. Because the therapists here donate their time and are at the events, they know each individual child, and they're like, oh, you know, Sam needs a ball, or, you know, Lucas needs a weighted blanket. So, you know, like so we kind of gear what we give out so that we know the families are going to benefit from what item they're getting.
Okay, so how are you funding this on the nonprofit side? Like, where's that money coming from? How can people do it? Like, what, are you getting grants? Like, what is that?
Well, this is our new goal, because originally it was through In Kind with South Shore that the events were starting. And now that we received our first grant from the group through the Interfaith Council, we're now reaching out to more companies and hoping that we can win grants through them. So the Children's Board, United Way, we're looking into the Tampa Bay Lightning grant. Baycare has a grant that we're gonna look for our community stuff. So we're really starting to research and learning and become grant writers as well as therapists.
It's like its own position.
It is.
It takes up a lot of time, and it's tiring. But after you have an event, it's like, it was so worth it. Like, we were not done cleaning up on Saturday from our Saturday event, and we were like, trunk or treat. We're doing trunk or treat.
We were already advertising that in that carnival, so
it's a high you get. It's a high you get when you see
and
the
we
families.
I mean, we're thinking about, yes, we need money, but obviously, like, we try to pull it off with what we have. And you know, it is growing because, like, the thrift store is now you know, contributing to those events. Or you know, our little reading program and our groups, like little things that, you know, are helping to fund those things, but on a smaller scale. Now we're trying to reach bigger scales.
So you put a call to action out there. Tell people what you need. Like, if they have a link or they are part of a grant giving program, they need to be able to reach out to you, right?
Definitely. So I know a couple years ago, one of our students from Gannon, she thought about, because we are a certified nonprofit organization, if your business does like a matching, or bring up, you know, let us know who you want us to donate on your behalf. Some companies out there do this on the private sector. We are very much certified. You know, we have everything to show that we do populate. We're legit. So if that's something that's coming up, or at the end of your year, if you're trying to find where to donate your funds because you don't want to pay Uncle Sam a lot of money, that is an option that's available. If you go onto our website for Inspira, tampabay.org, we do have a donate section, a tab where you can donate. If you are an organization and you're looking for a local organization that gives back to the community, you know, we're all about, our biggest thing is inclusion. We cannot speak enough about inclusion. That is one of the driving forces behind of what we do and why we do it. We have this expectation for all children to be productive members of society. As a parent, I always tell my parents, I think that our goal is for knowing the day we leave this world that our children are able to do for themselves.
Yes.
And we approach this every single day when we work with our littles. We're like, we want you to be independent, not to be mom has to do everything for us. And that's regardless of if we're not verbal, if we're needing a lot of support, we will give you the support, but the bar stays up here. We don't decrease that bar. It doesn't ever come down.
Wonderful. I love that. So we're going to have all of your contact information embedded into the podcast. So it's all going to be in there. And what we'll also do is get some photos. If you have photos, I love the wall, so colorful and fun editing. And the first thing that I noticed when I'm in, and this is a kudos and compliment to you, is that when I walked in, it was happy. Everybody was happy. There's so many places that you go into, like kind environments. Hi, what do you want? What do you need? Yeah, check in the box, check in the box. That was not the feeling I had when I walked in here. So I wanted to tell you, it was a beautiful, wonderful experience walking in as someone who's never been here. No one who's never met me before. No one knows who I am. And they were just, hi, how are you? And the colors and the butterflies on the wall and everything. So that is a testimony to what you guys are doing. And I'm so thankful that you're here in our community and that I got to meet you both. And I'm excited to spread the word. I'm excited to get this all edited for you.
Thank you so much.
And put it out there and you guys share it. You can use it however you want.
Thank you so
media.
much. Thank you. We're so we will. To our 100 followers. We're very excited.
Yeah, you have a Facebook page, right? So I want all of that information.
We'll get it so that you can put it on everything.
Yes, we'll put it on everything.
Yes, thank you so much. And that's something I'm so glad that that's what you receive, because it's really hard when coming in, it's when you walk in through those doors. And I'm glad you're receiving that, because that is what we put up to the kids.
Yes.
That is like everyone gets noticed. It feels like they're the CEO.
Yes.
And they come in and they're greeted and like they love our space. The kids love the space.
What's not to love?
Yes,
right?
And you've only seen a few little walls. I'm going to tour you at the end.
And I want to see it. If you guys have some video or whatever, just send it in. We'll get it all embedded into the podcast.
Awesome.
But it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much
to meet both of you, really.
Thank you.
And truly. And I'm so excited, and I'm so glad that I started to do this. And I know it sounds like a cliche to you because I sell real estate, but when I say this, I mean it felt like home.
Aw, thank you. Yes,
I don't mean that in a cool,
no.
I did. Yeah.
It's a wonderful compliment, because we spend a lot of time here, so this is our home.
You don't realize the energy you're putting out. Let's just say it's positive.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
you so much.
Okay.
Thank you for tuning in. This is your host, Rebecca the Realtor. If you or anyone you know in the local area would like to be a part of our podcast, please have them contact me at the number below. Again, thank you for tuning in to Bars Underground.